Hello, everyone. Welcome back. So, what's on tap for today? Well, it's none other than our climate hopping previous Secretary of State, John Kerry, also known as Lurch from the Addams Family, where he played that part. Anyways, folks, we're going to do a reaction video to John Kerry as he gives some opening statements to the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland, where all the millionaires and billionaires flying their private jets, spewing carbon dioxide by the boatload. But these hypocrites want to tell us how to live. We're going to get to all that in just the next few seconds. But before we do so, we just want to let you know that you're watching the Dr. Nasir Shaikh Show, and I'm your guest host for today. My name is Dr. Nasir, and if you haven't already done so, we'd love for you to subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell, like, share, and follow us. You know what to do. So let's get to John Kerry's opening remarks, the hypocritical, woke, elitist remarks at the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland.
I couldn't think of anyone, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart, that could introduce this topic better than Secretary John Kerry. John, you have been so committed to the environment, oceans, climate, and even as Secretary of State in the US, where there is a lot of geopolitics, we know that. It's not a lack of that still, but even as Secretary of State, you put the oceans and climate on top of your agenda, and I don't know any other Secretary of State that has done it in the way you did it, and no other foreign minister. So it's a pleasure to have you back in Davos.
So we want to thank you, John Kerry, for putting the oceans and the rivers and the mountains and the whole climate agenda. You know, you put it at the top of your list, above everything else, above the American people, above anything else, obviously, okay? And we want to thank you so much for doing the work of the globalists and being a globalist yourself and not doing anything for the United States of America. Thank you, John. We love you, John. We love you.
John, my dear friend, and I'll give you the floor here. Thank you.
I give you the floor here.
Well, I don't need that. I don't need that. Is that correct? Throw this away.
I'll take it back. Or maybe give it tomorrow.
Maybe it's that magic wand that Obama was talking about.
The electronic baton. Anyway, Borga, thank you. Thanks, first of all, for your friendship. Thank you for getting me the best room I ever had here in 35 years. Takes a long time to go up the ladder, folks. And by the time you get there, you can't climb it anymore.
I think any room at this palatial chateau, this beautiful city in Davos, Switzerland, this elite, John Kerry, has the nerve to say that he's got a better room now. What a freaking elitist this guy is, a pompous ass. But I think any one of us would love to have any room in Davos, Switzerland. All right. Just listening just listening in on this bull crap that we're going to be hearing in the next few minutes. But let's go on and let's hear the bull crap from the head elitist and the climatologist, the globalist, John Kerry. Yucking it up. Yuck.
So, it's not May, that's for sure. But it really is important to be here. Let me try to settle down here and focus on the task at hand if I can. And I'm privileged to share a few thoughts with everybody here. I sat up last night. My daughter is here. She does a lot of work in health. And we met up last night. We're sitting there talking, so how do we change the way people are thinking about this and talking about it? And why is it that allegedly wise adult human beings, CEOs, some of them, United States senators, some of them, a whole bunch of folks, want to ignore science and want to ignore mathematics and want to ignore physics and somehow cannot bring themselves to do what we need to do?
They're not ignoring science. They're not ignoring mathematics. They're not ignoring physics. They are looking at science. They are looking at physics. They're looking at the mathematics. The problem is with you, John Kerry, is you guys have been lying about this climate change for such a long period of time. Nobody believes you anymore. And even if we did, the changes that we could make, guess what? Not everybody's on board with this, John. Not the Chinese, not the Russians, not India, none of the BRIC countries, right? Brazil, Russia, India, China. They're not on board with this. And you guys fudge the data so much because it's all about money, the transfer of wealth from first world nations to third world nations. That's all this is about. It's about theft. Plain, period. Has nothing to do with science, because all we tell everybody is follow the freaking money. Follow the intercoursing money. Follow the money and you find out what's going on.
And when you stop and think about it, it's pretty extraordinary that we, select group of human beings, because of whatever touched us at some point in our lives, are able to...
I got to stop this. I know I got to stop this. He goes, did you hear what he just said? We, this select group of human beings. How much more pompous of an ass can you be? How much more of an elitist can you be? How much more of a globalist can you be than by actually saying, we, this collection of people here in Davos, we see it all. We can see into the future. We know what's going to happen to the planet. We have the answers. We just need to have the money so that we can implement what we know is good for you. So just shut the heck up and take it. We're going to change the entire global structure of everything. We're going to change energy. We're going to change the whole world and make it a far, far better place because we can do it. We're the elites. We were the ones that were chosen, the chosen few.
To sit in a room and come together and actually talk about saving the planet. I mean, it's so almost extraterrestrial to think about, quote, saving the planet. And if you said that to most people, they think you're just a crazy tree-hugging, lefty, liberal, do-gooder, whatever.
You are.
And there's no relationship. But really, that's where we are. You look at what's happening with species. Half the species of the planet have been already killed.
I gotta stop it. Half the species of the planet have been killed. These guys just bring stuff up. Well, you know what? Let me just grab something out of thin air here. Ah, there we go. Yeah, you know what? Half the species are gone. You know what? Carbon dioxide, it's killing people in the world. We only have 10 or 12 more years left to survive this planet. I mean, that's what these guys do. Instead of pulling it out of the air, they're also sometimes pulling it out of their ass. The verbal diarrhea is absolutely unbelievable. These elitist schmucks, these elitist hypocrites, millionaires and billionaires in Davos, flying in there with the private planes, spewing out, just huge amounts of carbon dioxide. That doesn't mean anything. No, not at all. But we decide that we want to get in our gas-guzzling car. Oh, you know what? You're killing the planet. You plebes, you serfs, you vassals, you slaves, you're killing the planet. It's all us, never about them. Rules for thee, but not for we. Or rules for we and not for thee. Take your choice.
And if you look at the way we live, the incredible sort of destructive process of growth, the way we interpret it, not as enlightened growth, but as a sort of robber baron growth.
It's called capitalism,
driven by a lot
John.
of different things. We had 18 separate $1 billion cost events in the United States last year.
So what?
And you look at Pakistan, where 30 million people in one single event were displaced, and their lives were affected, extraordinary upheaval. You run around the world. I'm not going to do it now because this group is as smart as any group, and you know what's motivating you and bringing you here. But damn it all, we have to find a way to get really serious about bringing the corporate world on board around the world. Mark, thank you for you and a whole bunch of folks who have been just brilliant leaders in really laying this out. That's not a throwaway thank you. It's making a huge difference. There is I'm thinking for the first time in the last years, because of what Berger just said about we were somewhere around 3 degrees, 3 to 4, maybe higher, when we went to Paris. And we're not now. So there's on the one hand, on the other hand, life that we're all leading right now. On the one hand, the destruction is unfathomable. Flooding, it's just amazing, not just in California, but Nigeria, Uganda, Mozambique, and different places. And somehow we leaders, to lead, have got to be able to bring folks to the table and organize ourselves around real things that are really going to make the difference now, that tip the balance from this on the one hand, on the other. We have to make it on, here's where we are. Here's where we're moving. It's all excitement. It's all a brilliant possibility, set of possibilities because of where technology and creativity and civic efforts and the marriage of young people who want a future with folks like you here who are, close to young still, but moving on. The reality is, folks, that this is the time where we have to.
He literally is talking out of his ass. The verbal diarrhea is actually coming out of his anus, the anal orifice. I mean, this guy is just making this stuff up as he's talking.
Get it done and make it all meaningful. Now, the private sector is stepping up rather remarkably, to be honest with you, but not yet even at the level we need to be. Let's face it. Whole bunch of companies in the world have chosen to say, I'm going to be net zero by 2050. And you and I, we know they don't have a clue how they're going to get there. And most of them are not on track to get there. So this on the one hand, on the other hand world we're living in is where we came out of Glasgow and where we came out of Sharm el-Sheikh. That we went from the possibility that we were heading to 3.5 degrees or more of warming of the planet to 1.8 degrees out of Glasgow. And if you take all the things that were promised in Sharm el-Sheikh and add them to Glasgow, you can get to 1.7 degrees. And I'm sure Fatih Birol will share that with you in one venue or another here in the next days. But we're not doing everything we promised. Nobody. And I think about what the IEA said to us a few months ago, that in order to get the 1.5 and keep it, and by the way, we have not yet lost, there's still a possibility of achieving 1.5. We make the decisions that are available to us. If we treat this for the challenge that it really is, almost like World War II, when we knew that in order to win the war, and we didn't know it in the winter of 1943, but in order to win the war, we had to organize ourselves to take control of the skies and take control of the seas and be able to smash the battlements that had been built along the coastline of France and Belgium and Netherlands and so forth. And we had to get through. We did it. And if you read Paul Kennedy's book, professor at Yale, called The Engineers of Victory, you'll read how this group of mid-level folks were making big, big decisions and implementing them and getting them things done. They weren't caught up in wads of bureaucracy. It didn't take them 10 years to get a siting plan for a wind farm or for a solar. We can't do that. I was talking with the White House last night with Bruce Reed and others. The State of the Union's coming up, and the president's got to, and I think will because he believes this. We got to move this. Because that's the only way we keep 1.5 degrees alive. So how do we get there? Well, the lesson I've learned in the last years, and I learned it as secretary, and I've learned it since, reinforced in spades, is money, 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 money.
And that's what it boils down to, folks. It's all about the money. Follow the money. Listen, if you're a multimillionaire, if you're a multi-billionaire, and you want to give this project and you want to give to climate change and you want to give your own money, hey, be my freaking guest. Go ahead and give it. You want to be a company and you have additional money and you can give that to, and you want to donate some to charity and you want to call, global challenges, climate challenge, whatever you want to call it, global warming, whatever the newfangled word of the day is to describe this fraud, this hoax being perpetrated on the entire planet. You want to give that money to that? Go ahead and fine. But forcing Americans, forcing people of the world to take their tax dollars out and give it to this fraudulent scheme, that's a criminal act, folks. That is criminal. That is negligence. And that is something that must never, never, never be done. Like I said, private money, hey, you want to give your donations? Fine. Charitable donations, you want to give to charity, you want to take out the money out of your wallet and give it to them, hey, it's a free country, it's a free world. Oh, it is a free country, free world here in the United States of America and a few other places. You know what I'm talking about. But anyways, be my guest. But to take tax dollars, no.
And I'm sorry to say that. I mean, yes, technology. Yes, exciting new initiatives. Yes, organizing. Winning races politically. I mean, what happened in the midterms in the United States is nothing less than miraculous. And it happened because young people voted. And the second most voted issue was climate. It's a huge deal. But we have to go further. I have said this before, but I say it again. I'm convinced we will get to a low-carbon, no-carbon economy. We're going to get there because we have to.
No, we don't.
I am not convinced we can get there in time to do what the scientists said, which is avoid the worst consequences of the crisis. And those worst consequences are going to affect millions of people all around the world, Africa and other places. Of the 20 most affected countries in the world from climate crisis, 17 are in Africa. And if we're going to keep faith with the global south and we're going to be real about dealing with justice in this transition, then we have to make sure we're bringing the global south along, even though that's adaptation and that's resilience and talking about loss and damage and so forth. We have to do it because we have to build the political consensus that allows all of us to go forward. Now, I'm running over.
So I guess what we're going to do is we're going to have electric cars in Africa, right? They're going to be able to afford that over there. We're going to bring windmills in Africa. We're going to bring, geothermal to Africa. That's what we're going to do over there. I mean, we're going to put solar panels all across the sub-Saharan desert. We're going to do all that all across Africa, right? That's what we're going to do. These guys are just absolutely retarded. They're stupid, idiotic, retarded morons. SIRM is the acronym, folks.
Over time, and I know that. But I want to just, I get wound up on this one, folks. Here's what we need, and we're doing it with our deal that we cut with Indonesia, with what we did. Amashat knows what we did. Rania knows that the NUEFI program we put together is going to get rid of 15 gigawatts of pollution by deploying 10 gigawatts of renewables and 5 gigawatts of gas shut down. 11 turbines will be shuttered, and gas will go to Europe to help it in the context of Ukraine. Perfect sort of symmetry. And it's going to happen because we were able to put together $500 million, a big concessionary loan from Germany. Thank you, Germany. Important contributions from different entities. But we don't have time, folks, to be cobbling together bespoke deals here, there, and everywhere. We have to do it in a massive basis. And the key to that, one of the keys, is philanthropy. It's not the only key. We need governments to put public money into it. But there is no way to win this battle without. I quickly put the without with the no way to win the battle because someone will edit it and say, Kerry said there's no way to win the battle. But truthfully, folks, the secret to this is this partnership, GAIA, putting together. At first, I thought it was a great wine, Gaia. But seriously, it's a moment where we.
That's just elite in me. At first I just thought it was a great wine, GAIA. nice chablis or whatever, to have with your dinner or with your lunch or something. I mean, this is just unbelievable. Again, all I can say is, folks, is that this is just the mantra this is the verbal diarrhea mantra from these climate change globalist fraudsters. That's exactly what this is.
We can pull ourselves together, and we have to do this day to day and bring the private sector to the table. We have to unleash, Mark Carney knows this as well as anybody, we have to unleash the trillions of dollars for bankable deals. How do you create the bankable deals? You have to leverage. You have to bring people together to take first loss, to minimize the risk. The minute you do that, you can get a deal like we got with Indonesia, with Mexico, with Vietnam. Final thing I'll say, I've said this many times, but I want you all to focus on it. 20 countries, 20 economies equal 80% of all the emissions. You solve the problem to start with by making sure all of those 20 countries are doing what they need to do. And that includes the United States, China, Russia, India, Indonesia, Mexico, Brazil. You know who they are.
But John, that's not what happened in the Paris Accords, right? You didn't give a damn. India didn't have to do crapola. China didn't have to do crapola until the year, 4000. Okay, same thing with Brazil. I mean, it was all the United States. Every time United States, you do it first. You be the leader. You get to carbon neutral. You get to zero emissions of carbon. I mean, you, America, you give the money first. You give the loans first. You give the hard-earned tax dollars from the American people first. You do everything. You build everything. It's all America first. And the other countries, that's okay. They'll come around to it. Said before. Fraudulent. This is all a hoax, folks. It's a global climate hoax being perpetrated on the entire world. We know that. But there's so much money that these people can siphon. And like I said before, he was begging all those multimillionaires and billionaires over there, hey, fine, you want to give your hard-earned money? Go ahead. Private sector money? Go ahead. But you know what? When it comes to government money, he also talked about government money too. That's another story, folks. That's another story. But it's just like I said, it's these guys they're hypocrites, one and all. Hypocrites, one and all. They travel around the planet in carbon-based vehicles. Look at the private planes. They said it was the most amount of private planes ever parked in one time, in one location ever. These guys can't even follow their own rules that they want to impose on everybody else. That's exactly what these guys do. You live like this. You do what we tell you to do. You do what we tell you to wear. You drive what we tell you to drive. You eat what we tell you to eat. You sleep where we tell you to sleep. It's how, what, where, what. We will tell you what to do, and you just follow because we know better than you. But we're not going to do it the same way you do it. You guys do it. We're going to live a different way. That's exactly what these guys are about. Anyways, we appreciate you taking the time to watch. We hope you enjoyed the video as much as we did making it. And I'll leave you with you've been watching the Dr. Nasir Shaikh Show. I've been your guest host today. My name is Dr. Nasir. And we'd love you to subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell, like, share, and follow us. I'll leave you with my final thought, folks, which is when you're right, you're right. And when you're left, you're wrong. We'll see you again next time, folks. Take care and stay safe.